What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Scarlet and Great here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. A big Buckeye recap Monday for you today, coming at you fast with the Michigan State recap. It was an awesome loaded weekend of just a Buckeye blasting this weekend of the Michigan State Spartans. So coming up on the show, we're going to talk about just unpacking that blowout victory that I don't think anybody saw coming, even the most optimistic Ohio State fans. And then we're going to talk a bit about CJ Stroud and his Heisman odds now that he has got to be well up there. The AP poll came out today, and the Buckeyes did jump Alabama all the way up to the number 2 spot. So, maybe the College Football Playoff Committee shows some movement as well, especially with Oregon out. And we will talk about this defense all of a sudden looking night and day. And I want to talk about something that you guys are going to get mad at me about is the CJ Stroud up and down thing. And I think I might have it diagnosed. So we'll hear from Florida Corey and get his thoughts as well. I want to say thanks for those of you who came out to the Menace Sports tailgate with Braxton Miller charging on lane. It was cool to see some of you guys had a really cool experience with us at a couple fans, Dan and Scott, who one of them just came up and found me and said, "Hey, are you in?" Of course, yeah. Yeah, so I just signed his shirt. No, I was kidding. He's like, "Yeah, I like your show. I like the AR over here in the background." And Dan and Scott were great guys. One of them's a former Marine, and they happen to own a gun store in Miamisburg, Ohio, close to where I was actually born and raised. So if you're in the Dayton area, get over to Miamisburg and to the Miami Armory. Or if you're within a couple hours drive there and see what kind of stock they got. Give them patronize their store, if you will. I'm sure they'll enjoy it. So anyways, I will please help us with this channel. Help us grow this channel. 4,000 subscriptions by the end of the football season. You guys have been great with the subs. Help us get there. Help us build this channel. Wanting to do something really special. So you got us over 3,500 by the Penn State matchup. Help us get to 4K by the end of the season. And without further ado, before all the ladies get too antsy, I am going to bring in my distinguished co-host, Florida Corey Thompson. How are you doing, my friend?
That game was boring.
My wife finally didn't sleep through a third quarter.
Sure, that's probably would have been a perfect time to sleep. The second half was sleepy. It was just obvious just to get young guys reps time. I got a question for you, though, Johnny, before we get into this.
Yeah.
So you're the head coach of Michigan State, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say you're down 49-0, the number 4 team in the country who's got an offense that might be the best in the country. It probably is the best in the country when it's firing on all cylinders. You're down 49-0 on the road. What is that speech at halftime like? I mean, I can't imagine him going there. Okay, let's see what we're doing well. Let's make some adjustments. I mean, just like, do you go in and just say, "All right, go get me a chili dog. I'm just gonna get probably a hard drink, and let's just try to finish the game without any injuries."
I mean, you got to put a game face on, a straight face.
I guess.
So
they're not stupid. The players aren't stupid, though.
Well, you got to still put on a front. So you run straight up to Peyton Thorne, and you punch him right square in the jaw.
Yeah.
And you say, "I won't stand for this." That's how you make $9.5 million a year. No, it's funny being at the game with a couple of my friends, with Dan and with Buckeye Edits, Trent, their Bond Edits, and my wife. They asked, like, "What do you do? What do you do if you're Michigan State?" We talked about this, and I said, there's a couple times in sports where you see the opposing coach go, "I'm not even mad at my guys. You just laugh and say, this is where Michigan State runs across the field, shakes the Ohio State guy's hands and say, 'Hey, man, y'all go win the title.' I don't know what else."
But he does that like at the end of the second quarter instead of the end of the game. He's just whatever.
It's like Colin Cowherd made a good point once, where sometimes when certain coaches are blown out and the other team's so good, they're not even mad. They just are like almost like in laughter of disbelief and just accept it. Tyronn Lue against the 2017 Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Just like, what am I supposed to do? That's what this was.
Yeah. We bracketed Olave on that play. Oh, Wilson's wide open. Okay, well, let's just bracket Wilson. Oh, come on, Smith-Njigba, come on. Okay, now Olave's open in the end zone. Oh, gosh. I mean, Stroud Stroud, to his credit, man, was just on point. So
he really was. Ryan Day did what Ryan Day does and drew up everything.
We should take away play calling from him, I think.
Yeah, Kevin. I'm so disappointed he didn't run the ball more.
Yeah.
I
wanted more zone read.
He drew up amazing things for CJ, and CJ hit them. He made really good.
I mean, obviously, we'll talk about CJ later in the show. I didn't mean to bring him up now, but yeah. I definitely I can't wait to talk about CJ because there's things from him that I'm seeing that aren't even necessarily in the accuracy department that I like. Wow, he's actually improving here. So,
all right. Well, to get into the breakdown of the game, I want to get into the first point, Corey.
Yep.
And excuse me, I'm a little bit a little bit belchy tonight. I ate my weight in Mexican food before this. Fat Corey would have been proud. I was actually thinking this. I had this big plate. I mean, it was like literally like this big, right? And I was like, I'm gonna try not to eat all this.
And you did eat all of it.
And then I tried really hard to eat it. But to get it. Speaking of the big guys, the defense massively improved. And I remember sitting in the stands, and I hate to talk ill about players.
Yeah, no, you don't.
You might not. That's your role, remember?
That's right. That's me and Tate Martell's DM threatening to beat him up if he didn't transfer.
Yeah. So, and I told my friends, I said, hey, remind me to bring this up on the show. Corey, Seven Banks doesn't play. Craig Young gets some snaps. Steel Chambers starts. And the defense looks lights out. Not improved. Lights out. And I'm like, surgically repaired finger just got bashed in there. That was not nice. Anyways, I'm going to try to straight face this.
Tonight.
I'm going to try to straight face this right now like it really doesn't hurt. Feels like it's about 125 degrees right in here right now. But anyways, Seven Banks doesn't play. Craig Young plays. Steel Chambers starts. And the defense looks great. Now, Corey, it's like, granted, and I told my friends this, I think the coaches know so much more about football than all of us dummies.
I would hope so. My goodness.
I hope so. Yeah.
My goodness, I hope.
But it's almost like they see these things 3 weeks late. It's almost as if they see like
there's a loyalty issue for sure, dude. There just is.
Well, even stuff with like, hey, maybe Tommy Eichenberg should be a rotational player and not a starter. Oh, 3 weeks later, we'd start doing that, and it works out, and he's much better in a relief role.
I can't even begin to explain why Steele didn't start until week 8 or 9 or whatever it was. I mean, it was obvious. Right? It was obvious early on. It's like, I think he might already be our best linebacker. He's just in on every play. I don't know what it is. It's like coaches need to see beyond the play on the field, that the things off the field. They need to see everything line up and the stars align, and then they make him a starter because they're so sure about what they go into the season with, right? They spend all camp that this is it. This is the winning formula. Then they see something completely different in the game, and they're like, wait a minute now. I don't want to just switch and be reactionary. I get that, but I get that, but it's just like, when it's 3-4 games long, I mean, at some point you just got to say, all right, look, whatever I saw in the fall was fool's gold. Time to make the switch. I don't understand why they take forever.
It's almost like they're like, hey, dummies on Twitter, you didn't see all that growth in the weight room that I saw. And we're like, hey, coach, I don't care.
Yeah, who's winning games?
It's not got anything to do with this. Yeah. And that's my theory was, I understand that they may know a ton more than we know, but I also think they are balancing 300 things. Yeah. And when we're balancing nothing, maybe
we just watch a game on Saturday. That's it.
Right. Maybe it's just super obvious to us, and it takes them seeing all that. And
plus the analytics now that are involved in football, you're analyzing 100 different things. Like, yes, Steel Chambers had more tackles. He's around the ball more, but Tommy Eichenberg, analytically speaking, was in the right position several times, even though he didn't make the play. I mean, it's like, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're doing dorm checks, you're doing grade checks, you're doing recruiting, you're doing.
I like that term paper he had on the thesis of Genghis Khan in the history class. I thought that was great. So he should be starting. I mean, it's like, no, I agree with you. It's just obvious to us sometimes, but you take a step back, right? You say, but I'm not the coach. I don't see what they see every day, but on the field, it looks painfully freaking obvious.
Right. It looks like, and then, it looks like Seven Banks gonna have to take a different role with this team. And
he ain't coming back next year either. So I don't know what I don't think his NFL career is going to be taken off anytime soon.
If
I mean,
he's
I
a
hate
little
to
bit
say
more
it for him.
healthy, if he's a little bit more healthy and they force him into the rotation again
Yeah.
next week, I'm just going to absolutely scream. The Legend Cavazos is a guy that I thought was a long ways away from making a splash here. Actually played pretty decent in a release.
I think eventually he's going to be a really good player. I mean, he was raw coming in. He's going to need some, some fine tuning. But I've been saying it all season, even when he had a poor performance a couple of times. I was like, I still think he's going to be good.
Yeah. But they were massively improved. They went for a team that essentially pitched a shutout when it mattered. It took a really nice ball and a really nice catch to even get on the board at all
against our backups.
Yeah, and it went from a defense that needed to improve to one that looked lights out. Now, granted, I don't think they're world beaters going forward, but this was.
But they're clearly not the defense of Week 2 Oregon.
100%, and this was 10 steps in the right direction. And hopefully, the coaches kind of saw, hey, maybe these are the guys we got to play.
I don't know why Craig Young doesn't play more. I mean, I really don't. I mean,
I've
look
heard
at the
something that it was situational, and I'm thinking maybe the bigger body because Kenneth Walker is such a freak. But but
you want that athleticism on the field, and on top of that, he's exactly what you're recruiting at linebacker right now in CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles. I know Sonny Styles listed as safety, but they're going to make him a linebacker. It's guaranteed. He's 6'4", 215 right now. There's no way he's not going to be a linebacker. But again, the Son McCullough, when he was a commitment to Ohio State, same exact body frame style, and it was going to be a linebacker for us. Why is Craig Young, who's 6'4", 220, and he's a freak of nature? I know he can make. I know he's young. He's raw. He's going to make mistakes. I don't care. He's got athleticism for days. Put him on the field. We don't always put our best athletes on the field.
Right. You're telling me that when it's a run or a passing down, could be either, that Marcus Williamson is that much better than him?
No, but I do think Williamson's playing well. I do agree.
Yeah. That was my
not knocking Williamson.
Yeah. Right. I just think that he is a okay athlete, and Craig Young may be, the next step up. Okay, Corey, got to move along.
Yeah, I hear you. I was talking defense for an hour. Yeah,
right. It was much better, and everybody knows that. CJ Stroud, Corey, what did you think about what this game did for his Heisman chances?
His best game as a Buckeye, bar none. I don't know how anybody would argue that. But the one thing I'm seeing from him that I did not see from him even against as recently against like Nebraska is him stepping up in the pocket. All game long, he was not trying to turn around the corner and outrun the edge rushers when they'd get around Petit Freer or DeJuan Jones. There's a reason why they shove him backwards and let him go around him. They just take him and put him. They take him and put him, into the backfield, and it creates the pocket for CJ. And sometimes he would throw off his back foot. He'd try to run around the corner and get around it rather than just step forward. Just step forward, man. Manage the pocket. He's managing the pocket so much better than he did early on, which is to be expected because he's, a young guy, and he's got plenty of reps and a ton of confidence under his belt. His numbers are ridiculous. I mean, I'm extremely excited for him. When I see that when I see those little goofy mistakes that he used to make, even as recent as Nebraska, now he didn't make them in this game. He played nearly a flawless game. I remember the one time he scrambled, I was like, he really didn't want to scramble. It was obvious.
You could tell it was so obvious. He acts like there's a force field on that.
I know he's got that shot collar on. If he cross line of scrimmage, you get shot.
Invisible Ryan Day's got an invisible fence on him.
And Ryan Day was probably peering at him. He's like, "You get that first down, and I'm getting McCord." That's why he was benched the second half, because that one scramble. But no, I'm kidding, obviously. But he did it. I was proud of him. I was like, "Thank you. Just get the first down. Get us a new set of downs, and then go back to work." But you get down. And when he took a sack, he took the one sack. He got down. He didn't try to outrun it or get hit. And comment yes or no. CJ going to New York. I think it's an obvious thing at this point. He's going to New York. I don't know if he'll win it all, but I think he'll go to New York. I think he'll be a top 3.
I mean, this is 400 yards, not by the game. This is by halftime. Yeah. This is blasting a top 10 team.
6 TDs by halftime. A top 10 team.
This is, people that didn't watch the game, like, man, that's a really good game. Like, no, the box score looks really good. He did it by halftime. He Akroned Michigan State. Now, yes, with a grain of salt, I will say, This isn't Akron, but this is the Akron of secondaries.
They're
Before
pretty
this
bad.
game, they were 130th.
This is
out
Ohio
of-
State last year secondary. Yeah.
They were 130th out of 130th in pass defense. So worse than Akron. And yes,
And guys were wide open. I mean,
yes, he does have all-time great receivers, and yes, he has the all-time great play caller, but he still had to deliver the ball accurately, and he
that 43-yarder to Olave in the back of the end zone was a thing of beauty.
It was, and I will say the earlier one to Olave, where he split the two defenders. Yeah. You know what you can't see, because I went back and watched it on TV. What you can't see on TV is how high that ball was, but where I was up right above it, basically kind of perched up, it looked like it was so high it was going to be overthrown, because it had to be. Because if it was a little down in front, he gets destroyed picked, picked, incompleted, one of the other. And it was just on Olave's fingertip. Fowler on the TV says high throw for Olave, and it was a high throw because, Fowler's up there at that event, that perch. He can see that.
Yeah,
and it was the only place it could be, and it was beautiful. And look, he put all the balls where he needed to put them. The one that Olave did a Garrett Wilson impersonation and bend it like Beckham to catch. Yeah, that should have been a little bit more to the inside. Yeah, he got sacked once when Teague was open, and yeah, he fell down on a sack once. But this is like the rest of the game. Like, these are tiny little nitpicks on just a surgical performance where he was fantastic. And
watch Pro Football Focus or College Pro Football Head say he's not even one of the top 4 quarterbacks.
It'll be like it'll or to give Olave or Wilson a grade of like 76 and say they're really good. Yeah. But Corey, I want to get into this on something, and I'm going to make a lot of people mad here.
That's what you do.
So I'm trying.
Makes me mad all the time.
I'm trying to figure out, Corey, why CJ Stroud can go from this. Now, I kind of know why, because Michigan State's really bad and Ryan Day's really good and the receivers are really good, but he's still super accurate.
Yeah, he was. And he was on point.
And he still had flashes.
Made the right reads, and he was anticipating a lot more of this game, too.
Yeah, and he still had flashes all through the season where he's super accurate, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out, why do we have this guy who looks like he is Aaron Rodgers, and then when the competition's just a little better, not a peer of Ohio State's, but a little better, he drops you expect the play to come down a notch. It comes down 4 notches. And I'm wondering why that is. And this is my analogy, Corey. You like my analogies? Here you go. CJ Stroud is the UFC champion that when lesser fighters come into his octagon, he kicks their head off in a minute or less. He absolutely does some knockout over. But when a guy just a little bit better or moderately better than those guys, but not on his level, steps into the octagon, he carries them for a 5-round decision. He still wins. Still does enough to win, but and I'm like, whoa, why?
But he's coming out with a bloody lip and a bruised eye.
Yeah, it's like, why did the gap just that much? You look at Nebraska, and you look 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You look at Penn State, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Both games refusing to scramble when the time was right to get a first down. I was watching up there, Corey, and I love the live games because you can see the secondary, you can see all the routes and such. CJ. Many times guys popped open underneath, and I was like, there he is, hit him. And he wouldn't, and he'd wait, and he'd make an even better play. And I'm like, you know what? Hats off to you, young man, because I'd have taken the 12 yards, and you took 30. And hats off to you for that. And then I was like, oh, that's why. He doesn't all of a sudden get bad in big games. He's not a bad player anymore. That's it, I think. He knows how good these receivers are. And he knows how good Ryan Day can just hand him open plays.
And he knows the offensive line's really good, pretty good.
Yes. So when he is looking downfield, he is thinking home run. And when the home run's not there or he's under pressure, he's still thinking, no, I got to hit a home run. I got to hit a home run. And instead of going, not there, check down, move on. Instead of getting 30 yards, getting 12. That's what you expect from bad teams to good teams, right? Instead of getting 30, you get me 12. And then in this example, he'll get you a punt or an interception because there is it's home run. Let me scramble out to the right and keep my eyes downfield And the only thing on my mind is a home run. I'm not scrambling to get a first down. I'm not checking down, which he did check down a few times this game, but it was in a really clean pocket. So that is my mind why he's boom or bust. The next step is, pressure. I'm under pressure. That means the first open guy you see gets the ball. No running out and trying to make a better play like he did against Michigan State, which worked out. No, or the first green grass you see, you take, right? When you roll out, you're under pressure, you see green grass, you go get it, live another down. Instead, you'll get this force into an interception, force into a bad throw and a punt. If that progression comes, Corey, that's when you can see him go from 450-yard games to you play Bama or Georgia. All right, you had 310. That's still plenty good enough, right? And that, I think
at Bama, he could put up 400 yards, to be honest with you.
And that is the next step, I think, in the progression. But I was so wondering, like, why do you go from just absolutely knocking people out in the first round to carrying these teams? And I think that's my diagnosis. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
It's going to be interesting. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying at all. I think it's an interesting perspective. It's going to be interesting to see if somebody plays that Tampa 2 style defense against him and takes away that deep ball.
And he just has to keep checking them.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong, because there's many times where it looked like those intermediate passes were just a struggle for him, even through early in the year, especially. I was talking to Kyle Lamb because he's a huge CJ guy. And I remember when against Rutgers, I think it was, CJ looked his best up to date because he was hitting those intermediate passes. And I was saying to Kyle, I remember saying to him, he actually was taking the middle of the field. He was taking those 12-yard routes. He was taking those 15-yard gains. Because I think you're right. He goes deep or he throws it the flat. It seemed like for a long time.
And what I want to clarify too, he hits plenty of the intermediate comebacks, and he hits plenty of check. It's when there is a home run called and that's read run. That's when he doesn't want to take.
He goes a little bit Brett Favre. He's like, it's no fun to throw into single coverage.
Exactly. And like that one to Olave. Yeah, you can take it, but it's got to be a perfect ball. I don't know if it's always good. You can't always count on a perfect ball if you're playing a great team.
And we're going up against a team up north this week that's got a much better defense than Michigan State. So you're going to have to take what the defense gives you. I think maybe that's what he has to learn going forward. Take what the defense will give you. It's not always, yes, your receivers are otherworldly. I get it, but these are the guys, especially Wilson and Njigba, they can take a 10-yard gain and turn it into 40, 50 yards on their feet. Olave can too, but that's not really his forte. He's more, once he gets the ball, it's either touchdown or
probably
it's
already behind you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's the best deep threat since Devin Smith. But I think that's astute observation on your part. That I think that's fair, because I've often criticized him a little bit for not managing the pocket well, which is I always say, look, when he steps up in the pocket, good things happen. People will break open. In fact, the Olave touchdown, the 43-yarder, I believe it was, is the one where he stepped up in the pocket and then the whole field opened up for him. He's like, all right, I see it. Again, Penn State was another one where we finally scored because he stepped up in the pocket.
Right. Remember how long it took Justin Fields to finally learn to just check down and live
Clemson, 2020.
It took a while. I think the Michigan State game actually going in 2020, where I was like, yes, just check down, or you know what I mean, or where he would wait forever and then just take a sack.
It's almost like Ryan Day teaches them to look deep, then come back.
I think he is a Bruce Arians type where he says look deep, then come back, and it can work. But like I said, part of me was worried about his competitiveness, because I was like, why is it when someone hits you in the mouth, you fold not just a lot?
I was worried about that too. We talked about that. I was worried if he had the mental toughness, but
I think that's a little bit there, but I think it's a little bit of this schematic thing that I brought into the equation.
I think you're right. I think you have a good observation on that. But you know what? He's growing. And if he keeps playing like this, you're waiting another year, dude. I don't know.
Absolutely. There's nobody taking this job from. We're going to get into this in other videos this week. Pending a lot. Look, the fan base would take a loss this coming week a lot harder than Ryan Day would take it. So even then, it's not taking CJ's job from him. But I will say real quick, CJ, you think the fan base was hard on you on Twitter before. You lose this game, you may never get them back.
You know what?
And
He's having
it's
a great.
not fair, but that's the truth.
He's having a great season, no doubt. He's having a Heisman-like season. He's having one of the best seasons a Buckeye quarterback's ever had. You lose to Michigan, it's all for naught.
Yeah, it's not fair, but it's the way it is, and
Yep.
I totally realize
that is the way of that's the law of the jungle, my friend. I don't know what to tell you.
I like the way you put that. It truly is. It truly is the law of the jungle. The wise panther, Florida Corey, dropping his knowledge. Oh, but no, I think the kid's great and he's improving. I don't want to sound too hard on him, but I do.
By the way, I think both you and I can appreciate what a devout Christian he is. By the way,
he's a good kid.
Yeah.
I just, that next step is like, just, hey, give me that Joe Burrow where you said, you know what, I like getting hit. Makes me feel like a real football player.
Yeah,
I like getting hit. I want a little Tom Brady in Tyrann Mathieu' ear. You know what I mean? Running off at halftime of the Super Bowl, like, buddy, you should have let sleeping dogs lie. That if this kid gets some of that,
he's the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. You got anything else before?
I'm good, buddy. We've been going long, so let's go.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys joining in. We will see you for Hate Week. All kinds of good content. Hopefully, we can even get the one which we do not speak of, James Yoder, on this channel. As always, goodbye. God bless. And go Bucks.